teach the kids, kind of be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, right? It's okay to struggle some. We put people, when we roll with the kids, the ladies, just everybody, the adults, males, doesn't matter. Putting them in the situation already, letting someone take their back, maybe even sink in the choke, and then struggle from there, right? Just to embrace. Sometimes they're not going to get out, but just to embrace that grind and that struggle, and just to know to just try again, right? After that, it's okay to not even get out, but just to not give up or quit, or make sure you come back the next day, even though you got choked 12 times, right? Obviously, of course, we want to try to combat that position or the submission or whatever, get out 100%, right? But also just to be able to have a collected mind and stay cool and use technique, as opposed to, as the white belts like to do, just spaz out a little bit, so that you can actually apply proper technique and have a level head for when, shit really hits the fan, or you're on the street, or you're whatever the case is, right? So, just embrace that darkness of having Gareth on top of you and Mount, and just, keep a cool, calm, collected head, and so, start to use technique, or just be able not to panic, and, just kind of embrace that struggle a little bit. And that's just going to build, I think, character. We do it with the kids a lot, just so they can, this isn't, we're not chasing butterflies out on the baseball diamond. We're, you're in here to grow in your mind, so that's kind of where we're at with some of the stuff we do.
So that's what you've been doing with me for the past 2 yeers, just putting me in, just making sure that I stay uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah. That's growth. That's growth, baby. You're welcome.
Forging in people's souls grit, right? Grit is such a central part of the life process. And, you look back even 100 years ago, people were tilling the soil at 7 years old. They were farming. I mean, my grandmother and great-grandmother, my great-grandfather is literally a fucking Viking from Stockholm, Sweden. He was out to sea 300 plus days out of the year. So my grandmother, from the time she was 4 or 5 years old, was milking dairy cows. She was running a farm with her mother, that was 75 years ago. Now kids are sitting on the freaking couch eating Twinkies, watching Oprah, and fucking hanging out on an island. And they have it tough. So the relevance of
Gareth, you don't know how hard they have it. It's so hard. I don't know what they're going through, man. So tough.
But also I do feel empathetic towards the next up and coming generation with COVID, with the ability to not communicate or interact or socialize, with the fear mongering, and just we're literally creating a shell shocked youth that is taught and learned to walk and walk through life, not with confidence or grit or fortitude, but with fear and trepidation and anxiety. That is fucking horrible.
Yeah, we're trying to counter that, Gareth, with the vaccine of the triangle choke at Crest.
This is something I say all the time.
Come
I
on in for your vaccine.
I believe everyone should actually grow up grappling. Like, that should be mandated, because it teaches you a totally different mindset. It teaches you not to give in, not to quit. Do you know what I mean? It's a very basic form of humanness, and I think it should be taught at a very young age. Growing up wrestling, I think it changes your mindset completely.
100%. Well, just think about one of the biggest anxiety points that human beings have is being grabbed or being touched by another person, right?
Altercations or confrontation, right?
Yeah, that concept of just having that right there. And if you remove that from a young man or a young girl from essentially at a 5-year-old level, their confidence and their mentality for the rest of their life is completely different from everyone around them.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that's 100%, is with everything that I've done in my career, in my life, I still feel a change doing jiu-jitsu and doing, like Gareth saying, murder yoga, and just, having huge guys try to, like Gareth, try to kill me, for 5 minutes at a time. I even feel my confidence boost at where I'm at in my life, which would you wouldn't think so, right? Like, everything that I've done in my life and my career, But now I have so much more of a confident nature of how to be able to handle myself and control other human beings, even to another degree.
Right.
Yep.
If it
And I
changes
think-
everything in your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also I think, Tyler, you were saying this earlier, it's not even necessarily like sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing, right? But you could handle yourself. You could handle yourself. And that's the important part. You're not going to be uncomfortable in that situation, whether you win or lose.
Right. Yeah. And one other thing on that is, that's kind of the things I look at with the kids program and the females specifically, but obviously everybody else as well. But, for them, I'm trying to make them I'm trying to build their character, maybe even more so than I care about, whether they can perfectly land an armbar. Of course, we want to get that down too, but not all those kids are going to be great competitors, and you got to realize that. But we still have an obligation, I think, to push them and make them, grow just as well, at least in their mind, if nothing else. We've got a couple kids that it's just hard to watch sometimes. They suffer day in and day out, but I'd keep patting them on the back at the end of the day and make sure they come back to the next class, because that's my job, and I think that's important that they do. So